What's up, everybody, and welcome back to For the Minions, the weekly show that we do that's all about the various third-person MOBAs out there that are kind of on the horizon. Usually we have a special guest, but he no-showed on us twice, so if you do want to be on the show, just hit me up. I do have about 2 months worth of guests planned, but yeah, it's just gonna be Jelly and I this time, which is okay. It's the holiday season, you know, schedules get mixed up and confused, but anyway, yes, I'm your host, the Man Goose, and joining me, as always, my friend and co-host that always shows up, Jellyknees.
That's me. I mean, Man Goose just wanted me all to himself for the holidays, so I get it, man. I understand. I would want me to myself too, so.
That's some confidence right there. Now I can't get the, God, what's his name from Silence of the Lambs?
What?
Do you want to fuck me? I'd fuck me.
I have no idea what his name is, but brilliant.
Wild Bob, something like that. What a great movie, Silence of the Lambs.
Jellyknees. That's what we'll call me now.
Let me say, you want yourself all to yourself. All right. So with that weird ass introduction, let's move on to the news and updates. We got news and updates for all four of them this time. We got Predecessor, Ethereal, Overprime, and Fault. Let's start out with Predecessor because Predecessor updates are few and far between. You don't really get a lot of them. And they did like an end of year update, which a lot of this stuff is kind of old news. Like not everything was actually an update. It was just kind of a reiteration, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, their new UI, which I hadn't seen before, which I don't know if that was in the last stress test that they did, but it looks okay. It's just it's a UI, whatever. Nothing spectacular or anything. I wasn't wowed by it. It's just, but it doesn't look bad though. So, and then the main thing was their map. They had a short video showing the visual updates to their map, and it looks absolutely gorgeous. It looks beautiful. Jelly, what do you think of that map video?
Dude, their map, huge kudos to them, because in all of their tests, in their recent stress tests, their map has played beautifully. It looks incredible. Like they found Fringe, I think it is, does a great job of really implementing all those aspects really well.
Yeah. I've noticed too on their website, they have their founding members, and Fringe is listed as one of their founding members. He's been with them since the very beginning. He's been doing amazing things with the map since the very beginning. So yeah, definite shout out to Fringe. That dude is a beast, an absolute beast. Hilarious dude too. If you ever talk to Fringe, that dude is so funny.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And then so with the new map, they had like the Prime Guardian head mounted on pillars, like next to the pit, and the Fangtooth head, I guess, they didn't show that, but I guess that would be mounted above the Fangtooth pit. That's a pretty nice little indicator to tell you where you are on the map if you can't, without looking at the mini map.
That's really subtle, fits the theme of the area, but gives a lot of information at the same time. I think it's huge.
Now, what do you think of the arrows? Like in the Prime pit, you've got arrows leading up to certain entrances. Looks like entrances that maybe Kalari could flip over or Gideon could portal over. What do you think of those arrows? Do you think they're just there for that, or?
I think they're probably just there as indicators. Just that you can get up and over certain instances of walls. Because, like, if I remember correctly, the last stress test had arrows over one of the river buffs.
Okay.
I got one game in, so it's hard to say with absolute certainty, right? But I'm pretty sure it had arrows like over one of the river buffs. You could go up and over that way toward like the red buff. I think they're a great idea for new players. I think for me, I would love to be able to remove them because while they really fit the aesthetic of the map, I think they do just take away just a little bit from it, from just pure aesthetic. And once I learn what those locations are, I would love to be able to toggle those off and just be able to look at the map in its full glory. But I think they're a great idea for sure. And they fit really well. Like they've done a good job of implementing them into the map and not making them secondary.
Right. But I mean, it does look like something out of a racing game. Like it would be on Mario Kart or some shit like that. Like some...
I saw your video and you're like, you want Mario Kart boosting after you go through the.
Yeah, wouldn't that be great?
do it. Let's do it.
Actually, I wouldn't mind that little boost throughout the map that you could take.
Didn't Pred used to have the ones over mid lane that you could shoot up and over mid lane?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah. Maybe they're gonna bring those back. I would love that. I think that was a cool traversal tool.
Yeah. I mean, Paragon themselves had that. It was like an airflow, and you could hit that and bounce over.
Or if you were Wukong, you could just walk. No big deal.
Yeah, if you're a Wukong, you could do whatever the hell you wanted because you were Wukong. And they had the announcer pack, which I thought was Daniel Hodge. It's not Daniel Hodge. Tiger Stripe did those.
Oh wow, okay.
It sounds exactly.
It does.
Like Daniel Hodge's he sent them an audition video, and I remember listening to he did a video of it and everything. It sounds exactly like the Overprime has spun. There's like that at the end. So I guess that's Tiger Stripe.
Listening to it 5 times and then immediately recording his version of okay, this, okay, this.
I mean, it sounds pretty good. I've already gotten a comment saying somebody says sounds like it has a little too much echo on it. It's Oak Owl Studios is doing their sound engineering and stuff. So
okay.
And along with that, we got the main menu theme. I thought it was pretty damn good. What do you think of their main menu theme?
I loved it. Honestly, I think it was for a main menu. It's perfect.
Oh yeah.
It's subtle enough, but it's also prominent enough to really have that when you hear it, you can totally miss it the first couple times. Maybe you're not paying attention. You're excited to get in the game, whatever. Right. But then a couple times later, you'll hear it and you'll be like, "Ooh, okay, I'm into this. What is this thing?"
Yeah.
I think that's a great way to have it.
Yeah, I like the drums in the background. I like the violin that kind of builds and it makes it a little more epic. I would like it to build a little faster, I think, but I mean that's just a matter of personal opinion. But overall, it's pretty damn good. Pretty damn good.
How dare you have a personal opinion, Mangoose?
Again, it's the whole thing of comparing these games to Paragon. How are they going to match Adrenaline?
Seriously.
Yeah.
I could still listen to Adrenaline and get that vibe, that feeling back.
Yeah.
This, oh man, if they could do that, I'll be impressed, 100%.
Yeah, maybe 4 years down the road, everybody will be hyped up about this song and they won't even remember Adrenaline. I doubt it though. People Paragon players, I could probably go to the middle of a crowded mall or something and start playing Adrenaline and just look to see who turns is like Paragon player.
We'll just do the old school on a boombox blasting Adrenaline into a mall and wait for the love story run to happen of people coming through the mall trying to track it down.
Me and you, we're going to go down to Cary, North Carolina to Epic headquarters. We're going to get our boomboxes. We're going to stand out in the rain, 80s style.
Yes, I'm so down for this. Yes, Mangus, this is happening. I'll book my ticket right now. We're doing it.
That would be great. That would be so much fun. Then let's see. They had item and kit overhauls, which these kit overhauls were apparently in the last stress test. Kalari's got her old guillotine ultimate back, which again, some people are happy about, some people aren't. Depends on which one you like more.
I am so excited, Mangoose.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're a Kalari main. You're a Kalari player. I am.
Oh
not.
yeah, and her original ultimate, I loved so much more than her teleportation, and I can't wait. I can't wait, man. You could do so much with this ultimate to clear waves, to push, to split push, to do the whole thing. I love it. It's a great damage utility. Hopefully it doesn't do 90% of someone's health in one hit like it did in Paragon, but
yeah, I was gonna say, I remember that shit doing so much damage. A team would be half health in a team fight, and all of a sudden Kalari would sweep through and get a triple kill.
I think it did 150% scaling or something. Something ridiculous. I remember looking at it once and being like, "This is great. I love this."
I mean,
press
I like
the button, win the game. There you go.
I liked her monolith ultimate because it was good for split pushing. She could be pushing a lane and then just appear in a team fight.
Mm-hmm.
But this has way more playmaker potential and forces you to position well and not just take advantage of her split pushing capabilities.
Yeah, and I think Vault shows that having both is not a better option. Because giving her more mobility than she already has with her double jump, and then you're giving her a dash and you're giving her a teleportation ultimates, that's too much. Stop.
Yeah.
She needs to calm down.
Cool your tits, Kalari. Cool your tits.
Seriously. Yeah, I'm so excited. And her dagger has multiple charges as of the last stress test as well. And so that to me, I'm just sitting there like Kalari man going like, yes, bring it back. Thank you.
Ooh. I don't like it. I don't like it. Well, I mean, but they have seriously nerfed her in that she can't go completely invisible. She just gets like the predator shimmer, which I don't know about for a third person MOBA because, like in that video I talked about, Here's the Storm, they changed it to where instead of being completely invisible, invisibility heroes have like a slight shimmer to them. And that works in an isometric because you still can't target them with basic attacks. Like that's kind of the benefit of being stealth. Like people know where you are and they can knock you out of it, but that you're untargetable by basic attacks. But this, if you see the shimmer, you can ping her with Murdoch. So,
which it's going to be interesting to see how they decide to proceed with that in the future as well, with future invisibility, because the part of the thing with Paragon that I will always love till the day I die was everybody that's invisible can see each other. So anything that's invisible, it goes to its own plane of existence, the shadow plane, right? And so everyone can see each other. And I love that concept. And I'm curious if that's now removed because of how this is going to work or what the deal is there. Because now if Wraith's ultimate gets put in, is that going to be different than what Kalari's invisibility is? And how is that going to interact from there?
Yeah. And would Shadow Wards have this camouflage instead of just straight up stealth? Huh. Interesting to think about. I guess we'll find out in the future sometime. And the last thing that I saw was towers with no, they had Death Cam and a rejoin feature, which are just standard shit that they needed. No biggie there. And towers with hit reactions, better hit reactions with towers, probably a good thing. So you know you're actually getting beat down by a tower.
Yeah, absolutely.
I wonder if they're going to have different hit reactions when you get hit by a tower than getting hit by a hero.
I wish we got more examples of what they meant by this because
the way it's worded, maybe the tower has a hit reaction, like when you hit the tower.
It's kind of weird at the same time, being a huge structure is what it is. If I'm like smacking it with a Kalari dagger, I don't want to see the tower go like chunk like this way. Like that's kind of weird. I don't know. I would say that maybe the best option is having different hit reactions when you're getting hit by a tower, because that's a real definitive way that you can say, I'm getting hit by a tower versus I'm getting hit by a person.
Right.
But to do that isn't too subtle is probably going to be hard. So I would be really curious to see what that is, if that's what they actually ended up going with.
So what's your overall reaction to all the predecessor updates, Jelly?
I think the updates are good. In a nutshell, I think the updates are good. It's good that they're giving out information again. The part that falls short for me is that it took 7 months to get this kind of update. And for 7 months, this is a problem we had with patch 14 with Fault, is there was hype over 7 months, and then it came out and was just kind of like, that was a patch.
Yeah.
You know, it exists. And that's kind of the same vibe that I'm getting off of this, is it wasn't anything revolutionary. It wasn't anything. And for doing a recap, they also didn't mention the fact that Grux is going to be in the game. They didn't mention that the Fae is going to be in the game. They didn't mention these other bigger things, despite them recapping other things at the same time. It just is a weird feeling update to me that I wish had come sooner than 7 months in.
I felt that they were throwing us a bone, and I did not appreciate it. Like, give me some fucking meat, man. Because this was all bone. This was no meat. This was shit that I really don't care about. I want to see them give us some sort of outline, some sort of pathway to where they're planning to be. You walk a thin line here of asking for too much, because I don't want them to give me an alpha date and then not be able to hit it.
Definitely.
But I would still like to see some sort of build, kind of like what Overprime did with, like, we're going to go to Steam, and then we're going to go to this, and we're going to do this. I would like to see that sort of path from Predecessor.
Even just, a very general roadmap would go a long way for Pred.
Right.
And just saying, these are what we're working on, this is what's coming in the future, and then past that. I mean, even I can say that that's something I'm working on for Ethereal, of making something like that to give out to the community. I think that's something that any of these companies can benefit from. And it does nothing but help and you don't even have to give concrete dates for any of this stuff. You can just say, these are the features we're working on right now. These are the features we're planning on working on. And these are ones that we're looking at for a year out, over a year, whatever. Right? Be super, super general, but it gives a lot of input to the community and information without really committing yourself to anything by a certain time frame.
Yeah.
We saw with Fault when it first came out, they did their season 0 pass. And it was whatever it was, every other month we were going to get 2 heroes. And the first month we didn't get it, but they locked themselves in. They said it's going to be 2 heroes in the month of September, whatever it was. And then October 1st hits and everyone's going, where's our heroes?
Yeah.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Just say we are working on 2 new heroes.
Yeah.
Just do that kind of stuff. Be very general about the whole thing. And I think that can go a long, long way.
I've been rooting for Omega Studios for such a long time, but I felt patronized by this update.
Mm-hmm.
I
did too. I mean, I sent you a message the second I saw it on Twitter. I sent a message to you basically saying this is nothing.
Yeah.
Like, this effectively is no information at all. It was just we haven't said anything in 7 months. Let's just, like you said, let's throw them a bone. Let's act like we're giving them information.
Yeah. Yeah, nothing for console, nothing for an actual alpha, nothing for when's the next stress test, nothing, just nothing.
Yep.
Oh well. Well, let's move on from Predecessor. I hate to be all negative about it, but man, I didn't care for this. Let's move on. Fault had quite a few updates here. So they had their free weekend, which has been a while back, but we haven't really talked about it yet. So they had their free weekend. They had Twitch drops during that free weekend. They had the 14.2 balance patch, and they're hiring more people. So just in order here. So the free weekend, I don't think went as nearly as well as it could have. I think a lot of that, like Windu has been saying, they didn't really advertise it that well. So
no,
people
they announced
just
it
didn't know.
a week before it happened.
Yeah.
Like, if you look at even stress tests, even though it's not quite the same thing as a free weekend, but the stress test for Ethereal and the stress test for Predecessor back in July were announced basically a month ahead of time in both cases. And that's time for your community to A, hear about it, and B, spread the word to other people that it's happening.
Right.
And Fault, and we talked about this before, Fault did it the week prior they announced it. And it was also, coincidentally or not, the same weekend as the Ethereal stress test, which just feels weird. Like, to announce it that quickly and have it be on the same day as something else feels like they were threatened by it in some way.
I think that dropped their numbers a little bit too. I really do. I think because out of all the people that I know that I talk to like a lot are looking forward, that like they're willing to try Fault if it went free, but they're mainly looking forward to Ethereal. So when the free weekend dropped, instead of playing Fault, they were playing Ethereal. Like, they could have had those numbers added in if they hadn't released it at the same time as the Ethereal stress test.
Yeah, and I mean, Fault, since patch 14 dropped, Fault did see an average increase of players to roughly 400 a day. But even after their free weekend, they're now still steadily dropping back down to that 200 number that they've been getting. I mean, right now they've got 237 players active. And so after a free weekend and a price drop, no less, you did both at the same time, you're already approaching that stagnation you were hitting before patch 14. That's a bad sign. Like, it's a scary thing to see. Despite all of that change and all of that happening, it still goes back to what it was.
I will say though that I have been getting much better games in Fault. Like, the way Fault has been with their MMR, it's either you're kicking the shit out of an enemy team or you're getting stomped yourself. I've actually had some really good games since the free weekend because they have gotten more people. So there's people like of my skill level and not people that are like account level 200 that play Fault all day, every day. That like, I just can't compete with that. Like, but you know, new people coming in or people returning after a while, I can actually, you know, hold my own against them a little bit. But so I think they've improved, just not as much as I expected them to with a free weekend. But the game itself has improved. It's still not very optimized. That was the big killer of their free weekend for people come in and the game wasn't optimized very well and they were getting a lot of frame rate drops. Seems to depend on what sort of graphics card you have. If you have the 10 series NVIDIA cards seem to have more trouble than anything else, from what I've been told and what I've been hearing from people. But
I know that I've had worse performance and I've got a 30 series, but I haven't had like hard crashes or anything like I know some people have been having. So, but I think that's another thing, Mangoose, is they announced their free weekend knowing their optimization wasn't there and didn't have the optimization out before the free weekend. And then really still don't have a lot of the optimization out now almost 2 weeks later. That's really scary. Like, why? It'd be one thing if you were pushing really hard and you were like, okay, we're going to have that optimization out on Friday of the free weekend. We're going to drop a patch and the free weekend at the same time. Which is cutting it close, but okay. And if you missed it, it didn't work out, and you pushed it Saturday, you pushed it Sunday, you pushed it Monday, that's one thing.
Yeah.
It's been 2 weeks after your free weekend and there's still no optimization patch. Why did you have a free weekend? Like, if you couldn't deliver an optimization patch in a time frame that would be beneficial for that free weekend, why have one?
Hopefully it means they plan to have more free weekends in the future. Now, I don't have this on the on our update sheet because it just happened last night, but they had a sponsored stream last night. It was some
I saw that.
Ship something. I don't even know the guy. He has like 100K followers, and he was streaming Fault, and it was a sponsored stream. They paid him to play Fault.
It was a sponsored stream.
That's just what I was told.
I heard the same thing. I didn't get to watch it at all.
Yeah.
I feel like that's kind of weird, but okay. Again, your free weekend didn't prove fruitful because of optimization and other things. Fix your optimization before you start getting sponsors. You start sponsoring people to play your game, because if they start playing your game and they get their community to start playing your game and it's poorly optimized, they're gonna do nothing but complain about it.
Yeah, if you get all those people watching a game that's dropping down to like 30, 20 FPS, people aren't going to be interested in that game. But I mean, along with all of this, they're hiring more people, one of which being a marketing manager, which I think they sorely need. They've identified that they have a problem and that something just isn't working, and they're going to try and resolve that through hiring. So good on them for that.
Yeah, absolutely. They desperately need someone. I saw on their list of open positions that they're looking for some kind of community outreach face of the game, which I felt like Mangoose was directly related to you and I saying that they desperately needed one.
Yeah.
Because weirdly enough, we talked about it and then it suddenly showed up.
We talked about it on the partner panel as well. So, I mean, it's a lot of people are talking, like, giving them some suggestions for improvement. It is, excuse me. It seems like they're actually internalizing that and moving forward and doing some of the stuff that people are suggesting, which Epic never did. So thank God. That's true. Strange matter is.
Seriously.
I don't know. I think that's about all I had for Fault. I do want to just say that, yes, I have been having more fun in Fault since patch 14, not because the optimization still sucks for me, but their biggest weakness is that player base. The player base has gone up a little bit, not as much as I expected it to, and that has made games more fun in Fault for me.
Yeah.
And all right, so let's move on to Ethereal. Again, it seems like it's been like months ago because we didn't do the show last week, but the second stress test, you guys had your second stress test, which was far more successful than your first stress test.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah. It actually went more than 2 hours.
Yeah, we ended up going the full distance of both Saturday and Sunday all day, which was great to see, right? It shows that the servers are stable, that they can be up for that long. We were able to push a patch, which was then effective and took place overnight, right? Which, far from what we've heard, haven't had any Haven't heard anything about the patch itself aspect not working or being a problem for people. So that's good. That was a good test for us, as well as being able to deploy patches to the people that have the game. I think overall it was just a really good stress test for us overall.
Yeah, and like you guys were giving away keys, and finally you were just like, you know what, fuck it. Everybody, if you make an account, and come play. like the servers are handling this shit. Come on, bring it on, everybody.
I can guarantee you that was not the conversation, but yes, that is basically what happened.
What? Nobody said fuck it. Let's.
I wasn't sitting there going like, you know what? Do it. Just send them out there. Just be free. Everybody gets a key. Look under your seats. I got a key for you.
Oprah jelly.
I did basically feel like
knees.
Oprah on that Saturday, though, going out to like streams and being like, here, take a key. Here, you get a key. You a key.
Yeah, it was a good time. The game was really fun. It's definitely in a pre-alpha state. Like people, somebody asked me to sum up how the game felt in one word. And I was like, oh, fuck. Like I would love to say great, but it didn't feel great.
Yeah.
Like there's much that needs improved. So I just said good. It felt good. You know. But I mean, like there's little rock outcroppings you get stuck on. There's no in-game chat functionality, which is a big detriment. You know, some of the targeting reticles, some of the abilities don't work so well. Ron's grab is bugged out. It's a buggy pre-alpha. You know what I mean? Like I don't expect perfection out of it yet, but it felt good though. I mean, above all else, the game was really fun, and like we were talking about on ETE, like. I really want to play again. Like I need to pay attention to my Discord so I can get into some of the testing. But the game is just really, really fun.
Yeah. And that's, you and I have talked about that a lot, right? The game is definitely in that early access state, but for a second stress test to be able to go in and say that you had fun and you want to play more, I think that's huge.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you guys got a good base. Just need to make those improvements, and you guys can forge ahead. And I think it might be big. And then you guys did the survey for the stress test, just asking everybody, you know, trying to get everybody's feedback so you know what to improve, what your priorities should be.
Yeah, just trying to get the feeling of what was too strong, too weak, felt strong, felt weak, the whole 9 yards basically. And I think the big thing on that stress test questionnaire or survey was the final question of, do you feel Ethereal is ready for a further state of development? Whatever that be, alpha, pre-alpha, beta, whatever. And while we're going to go more into the figures of that survey during the community corner on the 1st, speaking of community corner on the 1st, the big thing we noticed was that people said they had a lot of fun, but they didn't feel the game was ready for that next step of consistent release. And that's why we made an announcement shortly after the stress test that the pre-alpha will not release this year as we planned, because we want to get the game to that state where people feel it is ready to move on, instead of just forcing it to move on and telling everyone to deal with it. Right? It's the game at this point, it's kind of become it'll be ready when it's ready kind of mentality around it. Of course, we're pushing hard to make that as quickly as possible, but that's kind of the feeling, is that we want the game to be self-sustainable and stand on its own legs. We don't want to have to push it along and shove it along trying to hope that it works out.
Right.
And so if, despite everybody having fun, they didn't feel it was ready for that next step, we felt like it was just necessary to push that pre-alpha date back into 2022 to make those improvements, to make it feel like it could stand in that next state of development.
Well, that's I mean, that sucks to hear, but it's also good to hear, because I would hate to see you release something that would end up getting you negative reviews, you know.
Yeah, and it was a hard decision, right? Especially like for me, who's coming from the community and has joined the team since. It was one of those things of like, this year, like it needs to be this year. I'm so tired of this. I'm so tired of all these things. It needs to be this year. But I think that the community being on board in the majority of cases with that they didn't feel it was ready helped us make that decision, where it was kind of we're all coming to this conclusion together. It wasn't no gameplay and us saying like, by the way, not gonna happen this year, bye. But that's not, we're gonna do more stress tests. We're gonna do more of these things to get people touching the game is the only way I could think of phrasing that. But to get more people into the game, right, and experience those quality of life improvements and overall good changes.
Right on. I think that's about all I had for Ethereal, unless you had anything else.
Yeah, just the live community corner on Saturday, January 1st. It'll be Skifter and I again, per usual. And we're gonna go over the survey, talk about some new information, and all that kind of stuff. Should be good.
When was that again? You said January 1st?
Correct.
Okay. All right, and so let's move on to Overprime. Overprime actually didn't have a lot. They've been churning out updates left and right, but this time the only thing I could really found was a new Scud or Murdoch skin in their work in progress. And to be perfectly honest, I don't even like it. Did you see the skin?
I did.
Yeah,
it's not for me, but I'm not a big Murdoch player anyway.
Yeah.
But Murdoch's one of those characters that people buy all of his skins, so it doesn't matter if it's good or bad. Sometimes people will just buy it.
I'm sure they'll have cooler stuff. I've seen cooler stuff for him. And maybe somebody else out there, I mean, it's a completely objective opinion. Maybe somebody else will think this is the coolest Murdoch skin ever. I just personally like, meh.
Yeah, I'm with you there. So
I was really expecting them, from the way that they were talking to me, at least, that there would be something at least in December, but that doesn't look like it's happening.
I mean, considering we've got 2 days of December left. Yeah. By the time this comes out, literally that'll be the last day.
Yeah. Oh,
Watch them do it. Watch them drop the 31st. They're gonna be like, we did it this year. We told you.
Just to make me look like an idiot.
Exactly. They're gonna watch this and be like, drop it. Just go now. Just hit the button. Do the thing.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't really mind seeing them quiet because they have pushed so many updates out for so long now. Mm-hmm. If they go a little quiet around the holiday season, I don't really care. Somebody mentioned that they didn't even wish their community like a happy holidays or whatever. I'm like, I don't give a shit.
I mean, Ethereal did, right? And I was the one who made the announcement, but I don't think it's positive or negative either way, right? Yeah. I don't think it's anything to say about the company if they didn't wish people happy holidays. How dare you not wish me a Merry Christmas? I'll come after you.
Yeah.
In Korea. Yeah, I'm gonna fly there, and how dare you?
Yeah, I simply do not care.
I'll boombox adrenaline outside their headquarters.
Now, the popularity poll, this was actually from 2 weeks ago. I didn't do one again. I figured we'd just use this one. So it might be interesting next week to see what these numbers are. But Pred is at 58%, so they're actually on the rise again. Fault's down to 10%. Ethereal at 14%. Overprime at 18%. So, I mean, it blows my mind how Pred maintains such a high popularity number within the community with so few updates and everything. But I mean, again, they have the product. They have the product to back themselves up.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of those that Ethereal's been pretty consistently at 14% in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
But Fault and Overprime have been fluctuating a little bit, and then when they both fluctuate down, Pred always picks up the numbers. Right. It's always when any of these fluctuate down, Pred picks up whatever numbers were coming from them, it seems like, which is really interesting to see. Because I thought Overprime was going to pull Pred below 50% a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
But it hasn't happened.
I should do a poll, like, what's your second most looking forward to, just to see out of the other ones.
Actually, that could be a really interesting poll to see if it fluctuates at all.
Yeah.
I mean, you're probably going to see a lot of people still vote for the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the reason I didn't do it, but all right. I think that's about it for the popularity poll. Let's move on to our topic for discussion, which is this is why I wanted to have Pappy on for this particular one, is getting the archetypes right for the Moba archetypes. So one archetype would be what I affectionately refer to as the fat hooker. Every Moba has that big fat dude that has some sort of chain or hook ability that pulls people to them. Paragon, of course, had Richter. Pappy is a great Richter player, and he plays the shit out of him. And I just want to see them all get all of these archetypes correct. Like, I think Fault has done a pretty good job with Richter, but his hook, especially after the patch, has been buggy as shit. Like, oh my god. So that's one archetype. What are some other archetypes you can think of, Jelly?
I think a big one is assassins. And in 3D MOBAs, assassins have been pretty consistently a problem because they're... How do you get the feel of an assassin that isn't oppressive in a 3D MOBA? Right? In top downs, there's a lot more accessibility there to create assassins because you can do some other things. In 3D MOBAs, to get the feel of what you would call an assassin, to me, Kallari encompasses that feel the most out of any of the characters from the pair zombies. And partly because I was a Kallari main, but also in general. And she has shown that balancing assassin abilities is nigh impossible sometimes.
Yeah.
Because you either are all or nothing. You either are too weak, so you become a bruiser, or you're too strong and you are way too strong and assassinate literally anybody. Doesn't matter. And so it's finding that balance. It seems to be really, really difficult.
So, I mean, that Kallari's an interesting one because we've seen Kallari in Overprime, Predecessor, and Fault. And they're very different between all three of them. Like, Predecessor's approach was to make her not as invisible as she used to be. Overprime's approach was to make her a very all-in sort of assassin, with her ultimate now being like a lockdown that locks her down for a while, which she could very easily be deleted in that, but she could also 1v1 the shit out of somebody with her ultimate. And then Predecessor or Fault has gone with more of the monolith style Kallari, where they just kind of limit the range of her ultimate depending on what your level is. So I don't know which one has gotten it right.
Honestly, I think Overprime's probably done the best job of the three in terms of a balancing and feel perspective, because they went into designing the new Kallari kit from a top-down perspective, in that she jumps in, does a bunch of damage, and then is able to go from there. Right? And I think the issue with Kallari as a whole was she had so much range despite being an assassin. That she had her dagger, she had her ultimate, she had all of these tools that did a lot of damage from a distance, or at least could close the distance to do the damage in the Predecessor ult now. And I feel like that is problematic for a 3D MOBA, to have a ranged assassin.
Yeah.
Whereas Overprime has made her the true melee assassin. She has to get in your face. She does the damage all in a burst. She does it like the feel is there from Overprime that isn't there for the others.
Yeah, she seems like her kit is more all in because she doesn't have her flip. Like, that was always my problem with Kallari, is she could get in, do a shitload of damage, and then just peace out.
Yep.
There was like no consequences to her unloading her kit on somebody. She could just, even if she didn't kill them, she could damage the shit out of them and then just peace out.
Double jump, invis, and you're free. There's literally nothing you can do about that.
With Overprime, it's more of a Chimera style, where if you get in there, you better finish that target or you're fucked. I kind of like that.
Yeah, I do too.
I mean, we'll see once we actually get to play Overprime. Maybe I'm getting shit on by Kallaris, and then I'm like, no, this sucks. But we'll see.
I think it's one of those things of like, it's one of those like not my Kallari moments where I'm like, nah, that's not Kallari to me. That is Kakia or whatever her name is.
Well, yeah, I forgot.
But I think they did a good job in redesigning the kit that fits the character theme still, but also fits that archetype really well.
Right. And what we were saying, like with Pappy, is Souleve actually reached out to Pappy knowing that he was such a huge Richter player. Like, he had over 1,000 games in Paragon. He has over 1,000 games in Fault. They reached out to him like, hey, how should we go about designing Richter? Which I think is a great idea to ask somebody like that. And Pappy didn't say I'll make him super overpowered. What Pappy said was, make him strong enough to be able to be viable in the jungle, offlane, and support, but not so strong that he's overwhelming in any of those. And I think that would be perfect for Richter. I don't think, because right now in Fault, he is the best offlaner. By far.
100%.
By far.
And if his hook was more consistent, it would be even worse.
Oh God, yeah. Yeah, oh my God, I had some games last night where you throw the hook, you get the marker, you get the sound effect, and it doesn't do shit, and you're just like, what the hell, man?
Mm-hmm. It just feels bad. It just feels so bad.
Because it's such a hard ability to land, so when you actually land it, you want it to do something, and they're saying a lot of it is, actually, I think you were talking about this, that you think it's client-side, where it favors the person getting hit over the person throwing the ability.
Yeah, which is why I've done more testing since bots have come out in that regard, of testing the prediction and where it lies. And it definitely feels like it is favoring the person getting hit, not the person doing the hitting. Because even occasionally you'll hit a minion, get the damage flash, get damage numbers, but their health bar doesn't go down. So if on the server side, the minion is not getting hit by whatever your attack is, it doesn't matter.
Right.
It tells you, nope, you're not doing anything. Even if it's showing you that on your screen that you are doing damage, you are getting the hit. Which, at bare minimum, needs to be improved. That if the server is saying it doesn't hit, it doesn't give you hit markers. Unless you've got insane lag, because then that's just your own fault.
Yeah.
But people with good internet should not be getting hit markers when the server is saying that something did not hit.
Yeah. Well, back to Assassins. Ethereal, of course, you guys aren't going to have Kalari, so we can't compare Kalari. What you guys have is the Reaper class, which is, for now, is just Malaya. And it seems...
the Reaper class itself is not necessarily Assassins, because like Malaya is... While she has some burst capability, she's more of a melee attack, like Bruiser-esque kind of character. But Exiel is likely to be the first assassin character from everything we've seen, right? He just fits the bill for an assassin character. And so there's getting that vibe correct is going to be the same problem that Kalari has, or any other assassins in the 3D MOBAs, is making sure he feels impactful but not broken.
Yeah. Well, I like the way Malaya has been done, because she's not a burst assassin. She just has a shitload of things in her kit that allows outplay.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she has the potential, because when I think of an assassin, I think of someone who can dominate a 1v1. That's what I think a MOBA assassin should be. Maybe not great in a team fight, but 1v1, you're not going to take them on. And Malaya kind of embodies that, because she has so much outplay. She can dash past the abilities. She can immune abilities with her shield. She has... even when you think she's dead, she has her ultimate that prevents her from dying for 3 seconds and gives her a bunch of lifesteal. She has lifesteal baked in. I really like that approach to an assassin, because it doesn't feel nearly as overbearing as just all of a sudden you're dead.
Mm-hmm.
You feel like you got killed because you got outplayed, not because somebody built better than you.
She definitely thrives in the 1v1s. But in team fights, she can get in and basically kill one target and either get out or will die.
Right.
Which is what assassins are going to do most often. In that they're going to get in, they're going to deal their damage to one person, two people, whatever their ability set is. And then they're either going to die or they're going to need to get the heck out of dodge. And even getting out for the assassins is a task in and of itself. Most of the time, if you have an ability, you have to hold it to get out. You can't just blow your entire kit and then expect to walk out no problem. And I feel like that's Kalari's problem, is that she can go in, deal all of her damage, and then has a consistent way to get out at the same time. Then she waits for her cooldowns to come up, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. And that is wholly unhealthy for an assassin in these type of games.
Yeah. An archetype that I think is missing from all the games right now is the rat archetype. I mean, the rat being kind of, that was coined by Dota. You had the rat character that was just really good at sieging and pushing a lane and then getting away before anybody could do anything about it. Paragon, it was Wukong. Wukong was a fucking problem, but so I'm not saying I want to see a rat in any of these games, but usually you see that in a MOBA, some sort of very, very strong, but solo pushing a lane, but not so great in team fights. But they can win the game by themselves if your team plays well around that. I haven't seen that in any of the games yet.
I think part of it is in a 3D MOBA, you can almost have that with every character, depending on their kit, to be sure.
Yeah.
Not to the level of Wukong. Wukong took that to a whole other extent, right? But almost any character, because of the way the map is set up and because of the way rotations work, can become that kind of split pushing monster, assuming their kit permits.
Yeah.
The big one that I can think of for Ethereal is Talos. Talos's right click is a basic attack reset. And he can get slightly faster basic attacks and finagle that when he uses his abilities and all of that. So when comboed correctly, he can really shred through towers really quickly. But his kit isn't inherently designed to shred towers by the same token. So it's that like give and take that you can find in a lot of these characters.
He has that ability to never have to back. Because he has stamina instead of mana. He's never going to run out of mana. He can just keep pushing waves down. So yeah. I guess he could be. Greystone comes to mind for me. I think. Wait, does Predecessor have Greystone? They don't do that.
No, not yet.
Okay, but I mean,
Feng Mao though in Predecessor is very similar in that regard of pushing style.
But I always said that Greystone was the original Wukong in Paragon because he would
100%.
He would split push the dog shit out of a lane and win games by himself. Then Wukong came along and just did it better.
Because he had Assault the Gates, so he could jump out of there if he needed to, and he had his ultimate. So there was very little threat to him,
right?
Despite being able to do all that split pushing.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of the hallmark of Rat is having some sort of easy escape. I mean, nobody could ever escape like Wukong could, but maybe Kalari.
Yeah,
Kalari just didn't have the potential to clear lanes as fast as Greystone or Wukong.
Once they got rid of her original ultimate, she couldn't clear waves worth a damn. And I think that was what made me stop playing Kalari, actually, was the change in her ultimate, because I was just like, you had so much split push potential to help your team be more beneficial than just generic assassin. With that old ultimate, and the new one did not have that.
Okay. Well, here's an archetype that I think has not been done great. Is you almost always have some sort of support that links to their target and buffs them through that link. Paragon, it was FaZe, and Overprime has Cynthia, or I think that is what they're calling FaZe.
I think that's her name, yeah.
And then FaZe is now in Fault. I do not think Fault has implemented her great. She is just so fucking annoying. I mean, she was annoying at Paragon, but the ability to just swap your link over to an enemy and then stun them with it, I thought it was going to be a good thing. I thought it would just give her more options for being effective. But she's already got a slow with her E. She already has her blind, which is super fucking effective. You can't give her a stun on top of that.
It's too universal, right? In a lot, when FaZe was coming out, some of the Ethereal devs who never played Paragon, we were all talking about it. About like how we would change FaZe to be better, because she was problematic in Paragon too.
Right.
Once FaZe came out, you basically always played FaZe. Like there were very few supports that were better than her. And that's because she can play safe, she's got long range abilities, and she can pull her ally out whenever she wants. Right? Like there's so little downside to playing FaZe. And then Fault gave her the ability to be offensive on top of it. No, like please do not. We don't need that. What some of them were talking about though is that her link needs to be her ultimate. And you need to shift that away from just an ability that is on a short cooldown. It needs to be a consistent long cooldown, long form ability, and then have it be that you can pull allies to safety, but it's on a 2-minute cooldown. You can link to an enemy and use the blind and do all those things, but it's on a 2-minute cooldown.
Yeah.
You need to make her have a more defined weakness than she has. And so far, none of the 3D MOBAs have done that.
So, I mean, you see, I think it's Aphrodite in Smite that has the link. You see it in MOBAs all the time. You see some sort of hero that can link, but the link is never nearly as effective of a tool as it is with phase. It's usually just some way of buffing an ally or transferring something to them. And with phase, just being able to pull all the time. I do like the idea. I like the idea of the actual pull being the ultimate ability. Like just a stupid long cooldown, so you have to use it effectively. But having the link to give health and mana regen, I think that's cool. I think that's a nice ability to have.
Yeah. I think you make the ultimate just that pulling aspect. For instance, there's a character in League called Callista. She is a carry. But her passive is that she links to her support, and they're linked the entire game. They gain benefits by being nearby each other. And then Callista's ultimate is that she pulls her support to her, and the support can go out and knock up an area.
Okay.
And that's another effective use of a tether that does not make the game broken. You get the benefits of being tethered to each other all game, but the really big, strong part of the tether is on the ultimate that gives it that longer cooldown.
Yeah, I don't know. I hate phase. Always have, always will.
Phase being implemented was bold. Like we give crap for Wukong, right? That whoever implements Wukong is gonna have a hard time. I think Wukong honestly is probably a better choice to implement than phase in a lot of these games. I know I'm gonna hear about this because I think Wukong is more balanceable than the idea of a tether on a basic ability.
Yeah. I mean, we haven't seen much of her from Overprime. I certainly haven't played her in Overprime, but she looks pretty much the same way she was in Paragon, which is a pain in the ass.
Absolutely.
Huh. Can you think of any other archetypes that we
I think one that Paragon, I guess, did really well is long range CC in a 3D MOBA. That their long range CC was almost always a skill shot of some kind, and it was insanely hard to hit in the majority of cases. But those that got really good at hitting it, it was really a really effective tool at the same time. And I think that's an archetype that Paragon really set up well for the 3D MOBA space.
Right.
Decker Ball, Rampage Rock. Can't think of. Say again.
Thunk.
Yeah, Narbash. That's the character's name. I think are all really solid abilities that help fit their archetype of giving that long range CC out without it being oppressive at the same time.
Yeah. I guess that's another reason why I hate phase in Fault is that it's a lock-on stun. The only one that you don't have any skill whatsoever. You can't dodge it. You just got to try and outrange it once it's on you.
Which is a terrible feeling because very few characters in the duo lane have mobility.
Yeah.
And let alone enough mobility to get out of that tether range.
Especially if you're getting energy lanced, slowing you down.
Yeah. No, it's a free combo for her in that she tethers to you, energy lance, and congrats, you're stunned. Like, it's just that easy.
Yeah. That's bullshit. But yeah, you bring up a good point. The long range CC in Paragon, they really did do it right, especially with Rampage, because I loved Rampage's rock. Because that thing could be hit from anywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was one of those things, if you could do it well, it was really effective. If you did it poorly, you were practically useless to your team.
Yeah.
Right? And that was, I think, a great thing for Paragon and what I think made Paragon shine in so many people's eyes, right? Landing Decker balls off of walls, landing a Rampage rock over like an insane amount of distance, right? Really cool feeling things that I think really lent itself to why people love the game so much in a lot of aspects.
And Rampage's stun kind of had that integrated balance to it that he had to pull the rock out of the ground before he could throw the stun. Like you had to go through that entire animation. So people could tell when he was about to try and chuck that rock at you.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really cool.
The stun increased based on distance. So it encouraged Rampages to throw longer distance rocks than just pick it up in your face and chuck it at you point blank. Right?
And I didn't know it did that.
Very, very minimally. It was,
okay.
I think it was like a half a second increase over an insane distance. but it like I said, it encouraged that bigger, flashier type playmaking style that helped your team, but also was a really good long range CC at the same time. If you got the angle, you knew how to do it.
Yeah.
And it's huge. And that's something Grognark in Ethereal is that first long range CC for the game. Marina's right click is long-ish. It's slightly shorter than a Narbash Thunk in my mind. But a Grognark rock being basically a Rampage rock is gonna change the game because of that huge range of CC being pliable to more people.
I'm just a little afraid you guys might have a little too much CC.
It's entirely possible.
Is there diminishing returns in Ethereal?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, good. Because, yeah, getting a Ron grabbed into a double Talos stun into a Noxus root into being charmed. They're dead by then, but...
Yeah, part of that also, though, lends itself to why long-range CC is important. Because for any of the CCs right now, you basically have to be on top of them.
Yeah.
Leah's maybe technically is long-range CC, but she has to get into the fight. It just is castable at a long range.
Yeah.
But being able to, if a Ron goes in and grabs, have Grognark stand back and just throw a rock and stun him out of it can help your team in that regard as well, and help move that pace forward.
Yeah.
So having more long-range CCs kind of counterbalances the short-range CC of the game at the same time.
Well, I can't really think of any other archetypes to really talk about. Jelly, you got any more?
I think one that has always been problematic in any MOBA, but especially 3D MOBAs, is kind of the area of denial type characters. Similar to Iggy and Scorch being the prime example of lacing down their turrets. You don't go near the turrets. That you're denying that zone to enemies unless they want to take damage, and it's always been problematic.
Yeah.
And that's in every MOBA, right? Even League of Legends has a character that drops down turrets, and he's either broken or useless. Iggy and Scorch were always broken or useless, right? There was always that problem of how do you balance someone that can spawn extra damage dealing things?
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard. Here's the Storm has Gazlo that lays down his turrets. The way they have that balance, though, is Here's Storm has all kinds of different maps. And Gazlo, of course, excels on maps where you have a very definitive objective that needs to be taken. He can get there early, start throwing turrets all over the damn place, and then the enemy team has to fight under his turrets. So he's really strong in that aspect, but any other map where you don't have that, he's kind of useless.
Yeah, they're really good at objectives, and that's about it.
Yeah. I mean, Iggy was one hell of a split pusher in Legacy Paragon. Everybody built the tank Iggy.
And that's because the issue with the turrets becomes, can you kill them in one hit if you're an enemy? Do you get gold for that kill?
Yeah.
Do you get XP for that kill? How balancing all the aspects around extra entities, but especially static turrets like that, is really difficult.
Yeah. Paragon, they switched it to pips. Like, it had to take 3 pips of damage. It didn't matter how big the damage was. So, abilities like the Fae with her flower that would, deal really quick damage, was really good at just clearing out his turrets. But again, is that much mana worth taking out a turret? Same with gadgets Seek and Destroy, because it dealt small ticks of damage. Is it worth it? Sometimes it is.
Yeah, and it's finding that balance between the turrets and other characters and the turret character themselves that just proves problematic consistently.
Yeah. I guess we'll see once Iggy comes into one of these games. He's been kind of hinted at for Fault. We've seen some skins for him and some stuff for an Overprime, but that's the only 2 that we've seen so far. If you guys out there, have any archetypes that you can think of that you want to discuss, let us know in the comments below. We'll talk it out, talk about them. Other than that, I think that's all I got, Jelly. You got anything else?
No, that's it for me too.
Cool beans. Well, that's going to wrap it up for this week. Sorry, it's just the 2 of us again. If you want to be on the show, hit me up. The only real requirement is that you have Discord, because we record the show on Discord, but you don't have to have a face cam. You can just give me a picture, of almost anything, and I'll put that up there for your profile pic. And then, I think
Just screenshot Mangoose right now and send that to him as your profile picture that you want for your for the minions. It'll be perfect.
Let me see who we got next. Windu. We're gonna have Windu next.
Okay.
So I've got the perfect profile picture for him. Now he'll have a camera. He'll have a camera. But
Oh my god.
yeah, I think that's going to close it out. Jelly, you got anything to plug?
Just my Twitch, twitch.tv/Jellyknees. Do Marvelous Monday every Monday at 8 p.m. Mountain Time. And yeah, it's a good time, even when Mangoose doesn't show up.
Sorry, I forgot.
They fault instead. It's fine.
And Jelly's on YouTube too, so I'll have both his Twitch and YouTube posted below, so you can join in on Marvelous Mondays both ways.
Yeah, what about you, Mangoose?
I got nothing. I'm just going to keep doing the videos from the Ethereal stress test. I think that's about all I got planned for real. Hopefully we get something big coming out so I can start playing some more of these games.
Yeah,
but
I agree.
That's going to wrap it up for this week, folks. Thanks for coming out. If you're watching this during the premiere, or if you're watching this as the video, then still appreciate it. And again, leave some comments down there. Your thoughts on any of the updates and your thoughts on the archetypes of the various games and how they've been implemented. But for now, that's going to be it for this week. You guys have a good one. Mangoose! Special shout out to channel members Foolish Bloodhunter, Jellyknees, Meow Mix for Men, Stunt, Ferrith, and Raven.